Hello everybody, welcome back to my book vlog. Today we're discussing a book I was really excited to read. The book is Riot Days by Maria Alyokhina. If you don't know who Maria Alyokhina is, I'm hoping that this fantastic cover from Alan Lane will give you a clue, because Maria Alyokhina is one of the founding members of the Russian performance art collective Pussy Riot, and she was arrested after a very famous, well-known, notorious 20-second protest at Moscow Cathedral in February 2012, and she was sentenced to 2 years for hooliganism. Now, the Russian penal system is one of the worst in the world, and this book charts not just the decisions that were made to go into the particular protest on that day, but also the 2 years that she spent in prison afterwards, including how she found herself transformed by the conditions in prison and took on active resistance in prison to get prison reforms. This book could have been onerous and heavy. It could have been weighted with really worthy prose, but would have been quite inaccessible and quite harrowing. Well, this has been extraordinarily well written, because actually what we have are very short, sharp sentences that are blunt and punchy. And this has the effect not only of giving the book a really powerful narrative drive that just propels you through these 2 years that Maria Masha, as she likes to be called, spent under the most terrible conditions, but also it gives a real sense of shards, of fragments of memory. These are little shots of reminiscences of what she can remember and what must have been an extraordinarily tough ordeal. To give you an idea, this is actually what the book layout looks like. And that's what I mean by short, punchy sentences. You'll see these big fragments in bold and then a series of short sentences underneath. It gives this momentum to the book that is really addictive and hooks you. This book, as you can imagine, is of a very specific incident, and it certainly shows quite explicitly the price of resistance in Putin's Russia. If you are still under any illusion that Putin is anything other than a piece of shit, then you really should be reading this book, and indeed anything written by the Russian journalist Anna Politkovskaya, to get a real inside account of the extent of the dictatorship and corruption of the man and his regime. However, this aside, this is also a very inspiring book about protest and resistance and what can be achieved through persistent and deliberate and intelligent action. I have seen Masha perform as part of Belarus Free Theatre, a fantastic theatre company that if you ever get to see, I do recommend. But this is the first time she's ever spoken extensively about this experience that she had. And considering how famous Pussy Riot are, it's great that she's been able to sit down and able to convey her experiences and her reactions to them in such a persuasive way, because it's so important that as many people read this as possible, because away from Russia, much of the world is obviously going under through a series of where we're all considering protest and what we can do. And I found this book very inspiring, very bold, from an extremely brave and intelligent woman. This is Riot Days by Maria Alyokhina. Recommended, oh yes.